Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
Beautiful sunshine as we roll into this Friday afternoon, but the chance of storms is moving a bit closer. Good afternoon to you. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Christy McDonald.
And I'm Kim DeGiulio. We are keeping an eye on a threat of storms. So let's head on over to our forewarned meteorologist, Ashley Barrissey. Raining on our Friday night plans, huh?
Sorry, at least it's not an all-day walk.
That's true.
Really a beautiful start to the day. So hopefully you can get out at this lunch hour and enjoy a little bit of it before we start to see some darker clouds roll in this afternoon. So we do have a storm threat heading into the later part of the afternoon, mainly impacting the evening hours across southeastern Michigan. And we're under a level 1, which is a marginal risk for severe storms. And here's a breakdown of those threats. So more widespread across the entire area of green, where we could see some gusty winds that possibly exceed 60 miles per hour. But the hail threat is along and west of US 23. So some folks in our western suburbs could see some large hail out of this. But for most of us on the far east side, you could steer clear of some of the hail, flooding in the downpours, and a very low end risk of tornadoes. So here's the line that is crossing Lake Michigan, kind of breaking up across the lake, but it will reform as it continues to push into the southeastern part of lower Michigan. But we're starting to see that cloud cover push from west to east. I'll zoom out, though, where you see this is a much broader system pushing down into the central part of Illinois and now getting close to the Indiana state line. 78 degrees right now with mostly sunny skies downtown, southeasterly winds at 7 miles per hour. And you can see how the clouds are a little thicker off to our west in Ann Arbor. We're in the 70s all across the area, but a quick look at your afternoon forecast shows that we will top out in the low 80s before those storms roll in after 3. We'll take you through that hour by hour in just a few minutes.
All right, Ashley, the search is on for 3 men, including one armed, after a Detroit police officer was shot early this morning.
It happened just after midnight on Detroit's east side in the area of Meringue Avenue and White Hill Street. Injured officer was taken to Ascension St. John Hospital, and that is where we find Megan Woods. She's live with the very latest. All right, Megan, what is the update for us?
Well, Christy, we know that that officer was shot in his left calf, but what we don't know, it's still unclear if he was hit by that armed man that they are still searching for, or if he was hit by that return fire by his fellow officers. So it's still an active investigation. Right now, we just have preliminary information. Take a look at this scene from earlier this morning. Officers were initially responding to a ShotSpotter run in the area. ShotSpotter is that technology that detects gunfire. A neighbor and Detroit Police Chief James White describes what happened next.
I was going to the restroom and I heard gunshots. So as I approached coming out the door, I seen some guys running, but I seen the officers pulling up at the same time.
They were responding to a ShotSpotter run in the area of Meringue and White Hill. Upon arrival, they were approached by a couple of citizens that identified an empty apartment building that was occupied by 3 people who shouldn't have been inside. As the officers approached, those 3 people exit the building. One of the 3 fired at our officer, striking him in his left calf. The officers returned fire, at least 2 officers returned fire.
And it is unknown if those shots that those officers returned fire for, if they hit anyone, if it hit those suspects or if it hit that officer who's here at the hospital. Again, it's all still under investigation. Chief White also mentioned that those officers discovered a possible marijuana grow operation in that vacant apartment. So again, there's so much we're still learning, and we will give you more information as this investigation continues. Reporting live, I'm Megan Woods, Local 4.
All right, thanks so much, Megan. A lot to work out here. We'll see you on later on editions of Local 4 News. An active investigation in Howell today as a 20-year-old man is found shot to death.
Police were called on the scene on West Street this morning near Michigan Avenue and Grand River. Police say they have taken a suspect into custody and there is no threat to the public at this time. As more information becomes available, we will keep you updated. We're working to learn more about a crash involving a pickup truck and a smart bus. This was the scene earlier this morning on 9 Mile and Southfield Road in Southfield. At this time, the man in the pickup truck was taken to the hospital. He is in critical condition right now. Stay with us on clickondetroit.com for more updates. Facial recognition and Detroit Police Chief James White in the hot seat at Thursday's Board of Police Commissioners meeting. It comes after a lawsuit was filed stemming from an incident back in February. That's when facial recognition software identified Portia Woodruff as a carjacking suspect. Woodruff, who was 8 months pregnant at the time, was taken into custody. The board is now demanding more oversight.
What they're asking for is additional layers of protection, and I don't think it's unreasonable for us to have a more robust reporting process.
So I'm just concerned that
some commissioners would like to see the end of facial recognition. Chief White, on the other hand, argues it has put away at least 16 murderers and helps keep the community safe. Deadly wildfires are raging in Maui and in what is now being called the largest natural disaster Hawaii has ever experienced.
There is a 6-hour time difference, of course, with crews working throughout into the night in what is now the early morning there. NBC's Miguel Alumar is in Maui with the latest numbers.
Good morning. As that death toll continues to rise, now at 55, authorities are concerned they'll find even more bodies. By one account, upwards of 1,000 people may still be missing. Firefighters and emergency teams here on the ground are winning some battles and losing others.
On the island streets where residents made harrowing escapes through raging walls of fire,
let's go!
So many others did not. This wildfire, now the second deadliest in modern U.S. history.
I do not know what the final number is going to be. And it's going to be horrible and tragic. It's a community, and so the amount of loss is incredible.
In this skeletal and now desolate landscape, without power, internet, or even radio coverage, officials say they have no way to determine how many are still missing. Authorities say hundreds of homes have been lost, a growing tally that's personal for families like Patrick Sullivan's.
How do you describe the emotions that you're feeling right now?
Well, right here, it's pretty tough. But we'll be okay.
From the air and on the ground, the National Guard is helping crews battle at least 3 wildfires still burning on Maui. The hardest hit areas still impossible to access. Kimo Kirkman grieving the loss of his home and his father's ashes.
And I found some of these old pictures and I said, well, I should take a picture of it. And I'm so thankful I did, because this is the only thing I have now.
Even boats in Lahaina Harbor were consumed by the inferno.
As the fire came across this area, victims say they were running as fast as the flames. Many jumped right into this harbor to save their lives.
While the ocean provided an escape route for some.
If anybody's still out here, it's time to go! It's time to go!
Not all who reached the shore survived. Residents say they found bodies floating in the water. Caught with almost no warning, others perished in their homes or were trapped in vehicles. An entire community surrounded by loss, with one sign of historic hope. The town's famous banyan tree is the only landmark left standing.
After 80-mile-per-hour winds first kicked up this blaze and pushed it out of control, the weather conditions here are improving. Meantime, firefighters on the ground, as they continue to gain the upper hand, say they are still searching for the missing. Back to you.
Miguel, thank you. Those pictures are just staggering. We will have updates for you on Local 4 News at 4, 5, and 6. Well, we have a Help Me Hank recall today. Target is recalling over 2 million candles. The recall includes multiple scents of the Threshold glass jar candle in both the 5.5 ounce and in the 20 ounce sizes. They were sold at Target stores and Target.com between February of 2020 and July of 2023. Target said they've received 19 reports of the candle jars breaking or cracking, injuring at least one person. If you have any of these candles, you can return them to a Target store for a full refund.
We also have 2 orange barrel alerts for residents in Macomb and Wayne counties. Over in Wayne County, as of this morning, northbound I-75 is down to just 1 lane from Telegraph to the Rouge River Bridge. That construction will last until the 20th. And tonight at 8 o'clock, both the northbound and southbound lanes of Van Dyke will be closed from 37 Mile to Boardman. That is expected to wrap up on Monday. Both projects are maintenance projects to repair the pavement and to apply high friction surface treatment. Well, there is a chance that Tinseltown will be sparkling again.
Yep, the Writers Guild in Hollywood are sitting down, which means our favorite shows could be coming back.
And President Biden is issuing a new plan that could remove carbon emissions right out of the air.
Watson's